Alrighty, word, bro. Well, we should be good to go. How you doing today, Shook?
Good man, good man. Can't complain. Enjoying the day as much as possible.
Yeah, bro.
How you doing, bro?
I'm all good, man. It's just been nice to kind of take these moments, just to check in. And yeah, if you wouldn't mind, switching your phone, Shook, to see if that gets me into frame. Um,
Like this?
yeah, that should be straight, bro. Just like that.
Okay, cool.
We'll see if that works. But yeah, bro. Just like we were talking about a second ago before we went live. Just it's been fun for me to use this avenue that kind of came about in thin air of just me thinking about how to reach out to all my drum homies in town specifically, and just check in with everyone, see how they're using this weird ass time of quarantine. Um, whether that means taking just the time to reflect, or to like shed more, or to just do personal shit and focus on whatever it is you want to focus on. So just wanted to check in with you today, bro, and I'm glad we got you on, and just to see what what you're up to these days, bro. So how are you using the time for yourself, Shook?
And honestly, I'm not putting any pressure on myself.
Yeah.
It seems like so many like memes and different things from people and posts and whatnot about being productive, using your time wisely, and that's actually really true because procrastination is the enemy of us all. But I think creativity should come naturally. You can't really force the great shit.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
Like
know.
that has to come organically. So yes, I think putting yourself in the mindset and in the space to be creative in this time and allowing yourself to be there so you can create when you want and need to. Yes, for sure. Because I'm still playing my drums. Still, if I'm not playing my drums, I'm hitting the pad here and there. Got my little fucking practice kick pad thing that I use. So I'm still active. I'm still around drums. I'm still listening to drums, checking out other drummers on Instagram, checking out other drummers I just like on YouTube, letting that open up space for new material, new music to come in.
Yeah.
And allowing creativity to come from those things, from inspiration. Always, I'm constantly in a space of organic living in the moment, right?
Right.
So this is a space that I occupy all the time. I'm not using this time for something I don't already do.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I'm using this time to kind of magnify what it is I already do because I don't have the other concerns that take up the time that it takes for me to get to this. Now I can just kind of like hyper focus on one thing.
Yeah,
and
bro.
then to relax. My body was getting tore up, honestly.
Yeah, you were just telling me that prior, man. Speak on that for a second. Like you're not taking like a shed forward approach at this time. You're saying because you're just trying to kind of maintain in order to give your body some rest.
Definitely, man. Like I was telling you before, we got turned on or whatever to the Facebook feed. I got here when you're your own artist or own drummer or however you want to say it, freelance. When you're not on a big tour, you have to pick up a bunch of work, or you pick up a bunch of work to stay busy, to stay working. So there's seasons where you make your most money. At least that's what I've come to realize doing this for professionally.
Our shit's super cyclical in terms of when work ramps up. That's true.
Oh, and you know it, like, because you've been doing it for a while too. Like spring starts to, you go through a time where, okay, gigs are starting to come alive because living in the Northwest, the weather gets better. You kind of go by the weather.
Yep.
So, and then it starts wrapping up to the summer. Then you have all your festivals that happen. It's nice everywhere. So that's when you gig the most. You can travel. You can stay home and gig a lot. That's when everything is happening. Then in the winter, everything starts to die down because of the weather. So I was expecting things to die down. Didn't happen. Not at all. Like I was actually gigging really heavy through September and October, pretty decently heavy, like 15, 18 gigs in November. And then I thought, okay, December's gonna die down. I'm just gonna have like holiday stuff, corporate stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's what you kind of expect because the weather's not as great. Did happen. I got the Center Wing gig. And when I got the call for that, it was great because I was excited to take on the work and have something really hard, like a really intensive study. Hip hop, especially when you're playing over tracks, very intensive study. And the cool part about working with her is she's a real musician. Like
Yeah.
she's not just like a rapper or MC. Dude, she came in knowing all of the parts.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Especially from
She knew
a hip
all
hop
of my
artist.
part. Dude, she knew the music.
That's fire.
It wasn't like, oh, I want it to sound like this. I want it to fit. No, that's not the bass part you're playing, Carrie. That's not what you're supposed to play. No, sit that. I want it to come off of the break like. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Respect, because you know your stuff. You know your music. She knew exactly what she wanted to sound like. So we're in rehearsals. We have 40 hours of rehearsal, I believe. 40 hours of rehearsal at the beginning of December, and I still had like 10 or 12 gigs through December on top of me trying to like curate a weekly jam session and a monthly gig and trying to make sure that I'm offering the crowd and people there like quality musicianship, but also music that they haven't heard.
Yep.
I'm taking on this huge workload, and this is the winter when I'm expecting everything to die down. So I'm like, January comes, and I have more gigs than what I expected because I started working with a couple of years ago a rapper, Adrian Ridgway, and he has a project called Notes to You, or Notes to Self. So a couple of different projects. Well, I was the MD for his project. We gave ourselves a month to basically go into the whole thing, whatnot. It's over tracks as well. Yeah. So now that I'm MDing for his thing and having to like not put together the tracks, but decide with him, okay, kick drum needs to come out, bass, the little stuff, details. That's the end of January, but I still have 15 gigs in January.
Yeah, man.
My body's tore up, bro. Kirk, my body's tore up at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, like December, I'm like, I know January is going to happen because I already signed up for this in October. So my body, sorry, this truck is coming by. It's going to be loud. That's weird.
No, that's our effects. That's our special effects in this high budget show, bro.
Right, super high buzz.
That's
super high buzz.
That's how we roll in these streets, man. We got the truck roll by, sound effects on cue.
Good times.
But yeah, bro. So with that being said, sorry, go ahead, bro.
So my body's tore up. I'm guessing by February I need to take a break. So like January, I'm like, I can't wait to get through January, truthfully, so I can take a break. And then I take February off. March happened, and then quarantine hits.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh shit, no work. This is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll take this time to further relax and get my body together so then when the season does open up, I feel good. I'm playing at my height, the highest height I can play at, and I can gig as hard as I can. So right now, that was a long story long to say. I'm really just taking the time right now to kind of relax and be creative, stay in the space that I've been in, rest my body, but also stay up on my shit, make sure that I'm clean and that I'm I'm still expanding myself.
Yeah.
You know me, my drumming, I love to live in the moment, and I love to try stuff. I love to push.
For sure.
So that's just what I'm focusing on, just like pushing and where I can push and elevating the people around me.
Yeah, I love that, man. Specifically want to ask you because, you know, as drummers, a lot of us can relate to what you just said, but specifically me, like I have a whole morning routine and shit that I've like told you about, like to maintain my body and stuff. Like I'm extra particular about it because I've dealt with like a lot of arm pain and shit just over the years, back pain, just shit that makes it hard to do what it is we're doing when we're trying to, I guess, take what we're physically capable of and like and build on that on a daily basis, right? So when you have physical setbacks, regardless of how you're pushing and shit, like that might be a step below if you're not feeling straight. So on that point, Shook, like how are you using the time right now? Other than, is it just rest and some like pad and some level of like working up to where like you're feeling like you're maintaining, or how do you go about that process for you personally? Because I always like asking drummers this, but now that you just like brought it up, how are you dealing with pain management and shit at this point?
At this point, honestly, I think stress has a lot to do with it. And people are at this time, under a shit ton of stress, man. And it's warranted. It's a really obscure time. I don't think anybody has, that we know, can say they've ever experienced a time like this.
No.
Or something of this nature. So I think number one is to lower your stress level as much as you possibly can, because stress is a killer, and it's a killer not just like of just all of your physical whole body, but it's a killer in the sense of it kind of like gets in your body and you become like anxious, I feel.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just kind of lowering that stress. Truthfully, I smoke a lot of weed. I'm not even gonna dab. I smoke a lot of weed.
Hey, bro, this is
this
is an all ages show. We good here.
Okay. Hey, if you're under 21, it's not for you.
Right.
Okay? Shook Black message. It's
Shook.
Not for you. I do not condone
PSA from Shook Black. Weed, yes. For kids, wait.
You kids.
Yeah.
Stay away from drugs.
You go ahead and wait on that shit.
Wait.
Yeah. Do you feel like weed low key helps you with pain management? Like when you smoke at night after a gig and shit, do you feel like that actually like gets in your body and not just your mind space?
Yes, because what ends up happening for me is I need a cool down period.
Me too.
Because what I feel ends up happening is like you get that musician high. And all musicians know what I'm talking about in this. Like, say you have a gig and you play great. Everybody played great, right? Y'all were just on 10 the whole night. Things were just happening. You didn't even plan on happening. You get done playing 11, 12, 1 o'clock. Your mind still stays on that high of you playing.
Yeah.
Because you're still thinking about, ooh, that shit was good. It was real good. And when it's real good like that, you go into, I go into this space that I can't recreate any other way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to like come down from that. And what I notice is I need to come down from that, because if I don't, I'll find myself with insomnia and I'll be up all night.
Yeah, man, I can relate heavy, bro.
I don't sleep that great to begin with, so I need something to bring that sort of anxiety, for lack of better words, down. For me to be able to bring myself to calm enough to calm my body to get into a restful state. Because other than that, I'm just like bouncing off the walls the whole night, and I'm thinking about, ooh, that lick was cool. Ooh, he did that thing that was dope. Ooh, we did that thing that was dope together. You know what I mean? Like, and you just live off of those highs. Like music, with musicians, music just gives you those highs that you can't recreate, and then you just end up living in them.
Real talk, man. I feel the exact same. I'd say I need at least like an hour after I get home. Like you'd think that like the teardown and the drive home would like at least help, but even like when I get home, like I even if it's 1 a.m., I feel like I need to cool down for a half hour, an hour before I can really think about like relaxing because you just your body released all those natural chemicals of like excitement, like let's go, in other words. Like let's fucking entertain, like let's put on a show, let's be present, like all of that focus, all of that excitement, all of that energy is still in you and it like needs some time to die down. So that's some real talk like about um taking that time to cool off
It's
after
really
gigs.
just like like you're hyper focusing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, especially with us as drummers, dude, we play so many notes, and with us being the heartbeat of what's happening, we have to make sure that we're kind of the glue. You know what I mean? Like, this is my approach to drums, and this is like one nugget that I'll give you.
Hit me.
That I like to give drummers is 80% of what you're going to play or what is going to be played should be thought about before you ever touch your instrument. Like the reason why I get the calls to, hey, come play in an hour. Come play right now. Can you play tomorrow? The reason why I get those calls is because I hyper focus on the music. And this is how I hyper focus. I not only look at the music, I look at who am I playing with? What is their style of playing? And then when I get into the situation where we might have never rehearsed and I just heard the music, I go into it pretty simple. Okay, I know the music, so let me play the music. Then I go, okay, since I know the music and I'm playing the music, let me see the other musicians' approach to it. Because they're going to play the music, but they're going to play the music like them. Everybody's bringing their own thing to the music. That's why you get hired in the position you get hired in.
Yep.
As hired guns, if you're not a part of a band per se, or you're filling in for a band, which I do for a lot of bands. So
Word.
I'm going to it. Okay, who am I playing with? How does he play? What is he playing right now? How do I fit that? Knowing the music and still keeping the format, how do I fit the players that I'm playing with? What are we playing? What's the feel that needs to come off of it? What am I trying to convey to the audience? What does the artist want me to convey to the audience? What do they want to hear? All of these things I'm thinking about before I ever touch a stick. And then I go into playing, okay? In playing, I just hyper focus on that. And then you just keep hyper focusing. So that is happening the entire time I'm playing. By the time the 3 hours are up, I'm still on the same high. Like, I need something to come.
Because you really, you get into a zone, and like if anyone's ever seen Shook play, like they just know, like you have an intensity about you when you're playing on a bandstand, and it doesn't matter like if it's a big ass festival stage or like a small club gig, because you're taking like the same approach each time, like, and you can kind of like what I like to see when you're playing, and I as like just a fan of your drumming and an influence over my drumming, and we go way back, but it's cool to see that play out in person as you begin to get more comfort around the atmosphere that's happening live that particular night. And what I mean by that is I think, to piggyback off of what you just said, I see you ease into that approach every night and get your bearings. And then when you're like kind of honing in, if you will, on like the sound and the vibe you want to create that night, then you start to like really be more out and creative and play off of the individual musicians that night, which I always think is just like so fun and in the moment about your playing, which is just, as what makes you shook and what makes your playing sound like it does. But yeah, to that point,
Thanks,
that's
man. I appreciate that.
oh,
Yeah,
I
thank
mean,
you.
that's all just real talk, man. But yeah, that's cool to hear you say it in your own way, because the way I'd spin it back to you is exactly on par with what you just said.
And
Yeah,
and then take it further, like piggy up back off of what you just said, dude. Like that, you totally got it, and that's how I know you're a student of drums. That's why you're my dude, bro. Like we could do this forever because I see how you study and I respect how you study. And for you to be able to say that means you're really paying attention, because truthfully, that is my approach. Not in just that, but a step further. I know I have 3 sets, right?
yeah,
Because normally our gigs, especially the great paying gigs, are going to be probably about 2-3 hours.
word.
So you got pretty much one or two, no, 2 to 3 sets, right? I feel like you want to warm up, especially you don't know who's in the room, and then to the building that you're playing in. Your drums might bounce off the walls.
Yep.
It's your job to figure that out and know where you're playing and how to tune your drums and how to dampen your drums to be able to do that. So I'm guessing like over 2 or 3 sets, let me just easily, gradually move into being shook all the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that, man. And it's always evident, it's cool. It's cool to hear how you're able to accommodate for that and also be more, I guess, fluid and conversational as you get those bearings, and that's always like my favorite part about watching you play. In general, is just the magic that gets to be created when you start to hear all of those things come together, right? And it's not like that either. It's like this gradual effect that happens throughout the whole gig, and it just means like you're picking your spots with a fluid situation, right? You're choosing when to like go in and be more proactive and have more of a say in the conversation, like as things go in, and the night goes on, and then by if the gig started at night, by like 10:45, like some shit's being said.
We in a conversation, man.
Yeah, we're full bore, man.
We full in, because I take the approach to drums like I take to life. I use a principle, many principles. This is one. Principle over sentiment, right? So I try and use the same idea in multiple areas. And this is this idea. To communicate or be a great communicator, you have to first be a great listener. You can't understand, everybody communicates different. Everybody's style of communication is different. So to be able to know how to communicate with a variety of people, you have to be able to know how to listen to a variety of people and also have the discernment to know, in a sense, what they're saying without them saying it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I approach life with my relationships. That's my same approach to my relationships on the bandstand. Yeah. I want to go into it and ease into it. Let me listen first.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you some tasty shit up top because I ain't no slouch. I'm gonna hold my own, but I'm gonna listen first and see what's being played, who's playing, what are they playing.
Yeah.
Let me match what's happening, and then figure out, okay, now that I'm matching, how do I elevate this? Mm-hmm. Let me push him in his solo. I'm gonna play a little bit more in his solo this time and push him. I see him playing a little bit more. Let me nudge him. Mm-hmm. I see him going there. Let me play the same thing he plays. Yeah. Then it puts that player in this position like, ooh, okay, shit.
Yeah. No, everyone always responds to that, like, no matter what. When you're a drummer and you're adding energy behind them, that becomes like an engine for them as well to hop onto, which is just like the most fun thing about what we do to me. And yeah, you always push soloists for sure when it terms, maybe not on that, that first couple solos, but by the time things are ramping up in a gig, I always notice like the energy in someone's solo is coming in and really building, and there's some heavy shit being said, and a lot of that is
Coming in
because
hot.
yeah, a lot of that is because you're creating like the movement behind them, and you're driving them forward in a way that's your own unique
Yeah,
voice.
dude. Yeah, dude. Let's push. Let's go.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Let's
Yep.
go, because man, I don't take any moment we have to be able to do what we love for a living. We get to do what we love, man. And people pay to hear us come do what we love. It's not slouch.
Yeah, 100% facts, man.
Let's be professionals, and let's give the people not only a show, but let's play ourselves happy.
Mm-hmm.
If we play ourselves, for sure gonna play them happy. They're gonna enjoy us doing that. That's what we came for, right? Why slouch? Why worry about? I want to play my best. No, you're gonna play your best if you just play you. Just
yeah, for sure, bro.
Let me help you build on that. Let me help you build on you. Same thing, life principles. The people in my life, I help them build on them and evolve and elevate them. Same thing with music in the bandstand. I want to help evolve and elevate you. Every solo should get better. Every tune should get better.
Yep.
Now that we're in the flow, let's flow. Let's go.
Yeah. Off to the races at that point, man.
Yeah.
Let's saddle up. I feel you, man. That's something. That's some real talk, man. And I like what you said there about taking advantage of every moment. And that's just that it is special, man. And like during this time, I think people that had any element, even if it's like a small percentage in them that like was taking what we get to do for granted, it's pretty amazing to have this time to reflect on like how special it is getting to be paid to play music for a living, even if it's just enough to make a living, right? Like you don't have to be making $1 million just to appreciate being able to support yourself with what we're able to do. So that's
what we love.
Yeah, that's some real shit, man. And
people get to get up, bro. You get to get up and sit on your drums, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Come on, bro. We don't punch no time clock.
Right.
The only time you ever have to get up early is if we decide to take some other job, or if we decide to agree to an early rehearsal.
Yeah.
But other than that, or we have an early call time because we're on tour and stuff just works that way. Other than that, bro, how are we hurting? I had the best life. I don't have everything, but to me, again, life principles. I don't need everything. I know that it doesn't take everything to be happy. And there's people with everything that are not happy. I get to be happy every day doing what I love. You get to be happy doing what you love and pursuing your dream.
Right.
How many people get to say that, or will be able to get to say that in life?
Yeah, man. Few far in between, man. No doubt about that. And those are always the best feeling gigs when you're able to take a step back afterwards. And for me, it's a lot of the time, but there's some special nights where you're like, man, this is exactly why the fuck I do this. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
There's nights like that where you're like, this is
high highs, man, that you just can't recreate.
Yeah, this is exactly why I do this shit and why I wake up every day pursuing that, like, not only that feeling, but just like the sustainability of being able to continue to create this life. So thanks for touching on that, man. That's a
like my goal is to help others. Sorry to cut you off. My goal is
to
like help other people recreate that. You know what I mean? Like, it's a blessing to have that. It's a gift to have that. And I really would love for everybody to experience that in their life somehow, some way. It may not be being a musician. It may be being creative some other way. Or you like to knit, or you like to crochet, or you like to whatever. But pursuing a dream. There's nothing like seeing like your dream come to fruition. It puts you in a different state of being. And we get to experience that all the time. Dude, we live off of drums.
Mm-hmm.
How many people can say that? We're actually living our dream every day.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just a constant pursuit, right? Like, I know for a fact because of previous conversations we had and just other drum talks, but like I know for a fact, as dope as you are, like you're not where you want to be, and that's like the coolest thing about what we do. And I'm nowhere in the vicinity of where I want to end up in this life around drums and my relationship around drums. But that's kind of like the coolest shit about it, though, to me, is like getting to wake up every day and just go hard again. And even if that didn't mean like the shed of just like taking in new influences and hearing things differently and stylistic approaches from other people to inspire you, it's all about just like, you know, honing in on your craft every day and being, I think, like grateful for the opportunity to get to do this, like you just said, man.
It really is. You have to be grateful, and I think being grateful is what gives you the inspiration to push. You know, even if you're not sitting on your drums every day and going 8 hours a day,
right?
You know what I mean? Being an artist takes so much more. That's what I'm finding out. It's all the business side, it's the PR and the photo shoots and the putting bands together and booking gigs. That stuff takes work. That also is necessary when you're building your own brand or just establishing yourself as an artist. So as long as you're working towards your goal some way, somehow, all the little bits count. And don't be discouraged. And that's what I would say to anybody watching, anybody that's going to watch. Don't be discouraged in the little bits. Like, everything's not going to turn out the way that you want it initially.
Right.
It's just not how it happens. It's very rare that that happens for anybody. But keep pushing. I'm where I am. Kirk is where he is. These artists are where they are. The people that you admire are where they are because they kept pushing. They didn't accept no. One no. No is just one avenue that you are not supposed to take.
Right.
And puts you closer to the avenue that you were.
I'm a firm believer in that, man. I know some people are a little hesitant to admit to that philosophy, but I'm a firm believer in that shit. In just terms of any sort of opportunity that didn't go as you expected it or were hoping would land and maybe didn't or didn't land in a way that met your expectations is just to me like another excuse to pursue the next thing, man, and just be ready for it. Yeah, just be ready for the next thing.
Because the more prepared you are, man, it's better to be over prepared. Because when you're over prepared, you shine. And the shine is easy. And the shine is effortless. You know what I mean? You don't have to necessarily worry about, oh, am I playing? You're playing right. Or being nervous. Man, going into situations confident with your shit intact.
Yeah.
You already know it's literally half the ball game.
Yeah.
And once you get there, it's just like, okay, how do I perform? How do I get along with people?
Yep.
You know, I think that's another side as another branch to the conversation.
No doubt.
That has to do with what I learned the hard way about growing up in the music scene is really not so much as to how great of a player you are, but how you mesh with other players. And then too, if you're on tour, how you live with other players.
Real
because at a time you're living together. You're not playing. You're gonna spend probably hour or two, maybe 3 at sound check. Show might be hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. See like Stanley, Randolph, or whatnot, and playing with Stevie and playing the whole Stevie Songs of the Key of Life albums, like 3 hours straight of music.
Yeah, man.
But at the most, that's all, bro. The majority of the time, you're hanging out, getting along with people, eating, you know,
yeah,
that type of stuff. So I mean, it's just a whole thing. People don't understand it takes so much to be a musician. It takes a shit ton to be a musician and to actually make this a career. It's not just let me be good at my position. You have to know so many other things, especially if you want to be your own artist.
Yeah, real talk, man. That's super important. And I want to kind of maybe dive a little deeper into two caveats you just mentioned. One is something I've focused a lot more on this year and not nearly going hard enough yet because right, you got to kind of build funds and kind of pick your
Right.
punches unless you have like a ton of expendable income. But like
Right.
trying to showcase your branding and what you want, how you want to present yourself as an artist is something I've been focusing on a lot more this year specifically, and having the time to do so, being a lot more freelance nowadays than I've been is the reason why I wanted to do that, so that you position yourself. You might not get all the gigs you want, but someone seeing you and knowing that you can service them the way like you want, they like that they want to hear drums, like it's good to put yourself out in that way. So like I guess for you, how has that process been? Like let's just start there in terms of how has it been for you to create like the image you want, not only from like dope photos you take in terms of promotional use, but just like the whole branding picture and how you see that being like how you define yourself and wanting people to see you and perceive you.
That's a loaded question.
Yeah, I know, bro. Take your time. Long story long.
Long story. Right. Um, dude. So
You can cliff note it for us, bro. You can give us the cliff notes.
always. Okay. Okay. I always wanted to just showcase me.
Yeah.
That's it. Like showcase the stuff that I like. So what I did was in my branding was go, okay, what do I like? How can I make those a part of my branding, trying to make it easier on myself so I don't just have to come up with some stuff or something that's just not authentic to me.
Mm-hmm.
Out of in anything I do, I want it to be authentic to me. Like I want Shook to come across, right?
That's always
Um,
obvious, man.
and I take pride in taking time into like what I'm going to put out and what I can put out. So far from me, like I wear a lot of. Anybody who knows me and hung out with me, I wear a lot of skull necklaces. I like skulls; it's my thing. So I decided to use that as my logo. And I've had a few things drawn up. I'm currently using that as my logo. With my photo shoots, I really just take photos. I do take photos in places that I like, nature.
Mm-hmm.
I love graffiti, so you see me in front of graffiti
Right.
walls a lot. I like the smoky look, so I bought some smoke bombs one time. That's like my Facebook cover page thing. Like I took the photo and then actually I made and did a lot of like some of that graphic design myself just to like get into it. So I have a little bit more feel as to what I want, and then if when I go to a graphic designer, I can say, okay, this is what I'm looking for that I can't produce myself.
Yeah.
This is what I produce. This is what I'm looking to add. So I'm constantly pushing in these areas, so I have more information to be able to push myself further and know what avenue to take at that point to push myself even further. Like if I can't do something myself, I know where to go. I know who to talk to get it done.
Yeah. You have the image up here set, and like if it's something you can't create yourself, you know how to convey that message.
Exactly. So I'm just go and basically put people in the places that I need them to be in for me to produce this product that I want to present to the world, which is basically look at Shook on a picture. Like anybody else. You know what I mean? Like this is me playing drums, playing to a song that I like, or a song that I created, or something that you just know. To showcase this is what I do. This is the band that I play with. I'm playing here, doing this thing, and it's really just all in. I get all of it in the consistency of always doing it because
Right.
I've started it and started and stopped, and I've noticed in that it throws your momentum off.
Yeah, yeah.
And
There
momentum
is.
is necessary, so you keep pushing, and it gains, it avalanches. But if you start and you stop, and you start you continue in that path,
Totally.
you never gain enough momentum to push you to that next level. So you're not really moving anywhere. It's just all stagnation, really.
Mm-hmm.
And people get frustrated with that area. And I noticed I was getting frustrated with that area. Like, nothing's happening, nothing's moving, nothing. Well, the part of manifestation that I was missing, because that's another principle that I use, which is thought plus corresponding action plus perseverance will get you what you want. That's manifestation in a equation. And it truly works because I've used it. What I was missing was the perseverance. I had the thought, I had the corresponding action, but the corresponding action lasted so long. And then I was getting mad once I didn't, because I didn't see the results. And then I stopped my corresponding action. So I'm missing the third part. You get to where I'm going?
Absolutely, man.
Of you seeing improductivity. And it's just, if you just keep with the consistency of, I'm here doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Have a bunch of content. It's what I would say to any artist or any musician that's trying to push themselves. Content, 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 content.
It certainly fucking helps, man.
It does. It really does.
Yeah, as much as like I know a lot of musicians in our scene that like don't want to put the time and effort into that, like feel like it may be a little cheesy or whatnot, like to self promote, and it certainly can feel like that and tacky as shit, like always having that like. But I do think like you don't have to come out and about from like an always look at me standpoint. It's just like here's what I do and what I love, and here's a reminder consistently of why that is, you know.
Right.
But like yeah, I understand, and I've dealt with a lot of like, oh man, I don't got the time for that shit right now. Like I need to focus on learning, you know, 3 bands music this week and like and whatnot. But having those things in the background, able to share in the midst of like your work, because your work will speak for itself. But then anyone that didn't see that work didn't know that, you know what I'm saying? Or like those were specific networking relationships on that one gig or like whatever. But that doesn't mean you get endless opportunities off of like those people thinking you're cool. So I think it's really dope what you just said, and that whole 3-prong like methodology and philosophy that you have around that. But specifically, I think the most important part, even if you're figuring out what you want to manifest and not even 100% sure, is the perseverance aspect.
Right.
You know, because you can sharpen your sword all you want like later on, but like if you're just sitting on thoughts all day, then like ain't shit ever gonna happen, you know. And that's the tough part, is like not always just judging yourself for like, I don't know if like this is truly me, or you know, like second guessing everything can never, it just never leads anywhere, right? And that's something that I've had to push aside, just like that self doubt, or like that ain't really me, or like that ain't really the shit I want to focus on. Like I don't want to put that out, and just putting it out, man, because at the end of the day, if you're coming from a place of being genuine and just like, hey, this is some shit, and this is what I do, this is what I love, like, and then specifically focusing your energy on the things that you really want to push forward, then I think that's a great formula for success, man. What you just said.
Yeah, dude. Because I mean, you never know who's gonna like your shit. You know, like, dude, like I have made some tracks, made some music, obviously, because I'm my own artist, and let like people close to me and different musicians or whatnot hear it, and what I thought they were going to like, they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't their favorite track. My favorite track wasn't their favorite track.
Yeah.
They actually liked the things that I didn't like, and it shocked me. But it also taught me something. Just put your shit out.
Right.
And just let people decide what they like. Because ultimately, you don't know. And why would you decide before you even put it out?
Yeah,
like,
man.
So you're just not going to give people the chance to even decide? You're just going to hold on to the music? You're going to hold on. You're going to hold on to your expression, to your greatest expression in life. As a musician, we know this. You're just going to hold on to it because you're afraid of who's going to like it or not. Is it for them to like, or is it for you? Is it for you to express?
Yeah.
And
you nailed it.
Once I asked myself the question, I was like, it's for me to express.
Mm-hmm. If people like it,
you don't like it or
yeah.
you don't.
If people,
mm-hmm.
If people like what it is you do, that's great.
I'm not gonna live my life in fear of, do people like me? Mm-hmm. Do people like what I do? Nah, man. You either gonna get on the train or you not. And that's the confidence that I hold within myself all the time. Because right. if you're unstable in that way and worry about everybody's opinion of what you do, how much of you is really shining through what you do? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're doing what you think pleases people. You're not actually doing you. So I refuse to go this whole life saying that I pleased everybody else and didn't please myself.
I feel you, man.
Especially when it comes to being a musician and my greatest expression. I'd rather just put it out there and give people the opportunity to like it or not like it. Because at the end of the day, I put it out because I liked it.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like, on that point, it also tears away from your individual expression when you focus so much of your energy on pleasing other people or worrying about what they like. And I've learned that firsthand. In like that stepping stage of building confidence. Like that was not something that came like innate for me. So I had to like literally persevere, like we talked about, to that point of like getting to a place where you're like, no, I'm confident in this shit, and like I know this is what I want it to sound like, and I think it's servicing the music, and this is what I hear. So to that point, like, what the fuck good is self-doubting at that stage if you've already done your homework, already feel confident in yourself, and already know the way you want to express yourself, and in a way that's not combative, of course, because that never gets you anywhere. Like being combative, like you said, in terms of the personality aspect or like the blend of musicality on the bandstand. But to your point, man, it's just like it really takes away from your own creative energy. You know, it drains that tank a little bit when you're, and I know that firsthand, and having to get through that process for myself of just like caring about, oh man, so and so's here, like I hope he fucking likes this lick I'm playing. Like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck good has that ever done someone? You know what I'm saying?
Ever, dude. And that just saps you. That just puts you in a box to where now all your focus is not really even on the music anymore.
Right.
It's on
exactly
what
our
you're
point.
doing. You're all the way off. You all the way out of pocket at that point.
Yeah.
No matter what you play, it's not gonna be your best shit because you're not even the space that you're supposed to be in.
Yeah.
To even create your best shit.
Yeah, you're on cruise control at that point.
And honestly, this is why I adopted this philosophy too. I play the same as if I'm playing to 2,000. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter who's in the building. I'm gonna play my best every night. I'm gonna service the music, and I'm gonna service the musicians I'm with every night, come hell or high water, because that is what I've taken on, being a professional musician. And one step further, that's what I'm getting paid for.
Yeah, amen to all that, man.
Stage. You can't be on stage getting paid for half-ass performances. Period. you shouldn't be.
I'm saying, man.
I got some half-ass performances that I probably should have got paid for in the past. But
yeah,
you work on. I grew up in this thing, so and being now like in my 30s, being a seasoned musician, like I understand more of like how to approach it better now. So that's a philosophy, and one of them out of the many you've probably heard this entire time that I use, like that just helps me stay servicing the music, but also servicing the musicians that I'm around, because it has to be fun for everybody. Your best gig is when you play everybody else happy.
Right.
When everybody else leaves the gig saying, "Oh, bro, we should do that again." Mm-hmm. That was your best gig.
Yeah, I feel you, man.
In my mind, You put everybody in their space to where they're playing their best. That's how you also guys, if you're watching this. That's how you work a lot. That's how you keep a lot of gigs. It's not necessarily about being good. A lot of people are good. Can you make everybody else happy? That's a tip.
Mm-hmm.
A real drummer nugget from a freelance drummer that calls you to work a lot. Trust me when I say, if you can play everybody else happy, you can keep a gig. You might even steal a gig. I didn't tell you to steal a gig. Don't go out.
We're not advocating for stealing gigs in 2020, y'all.
Yeah, we've had enough of that in the past from certain peoples that we all know in Portland and Northwest musician community. We've had enough of that, but I'm not telling you to do that. But that's how you play your best. That's how you keep a gig. Play everybody else happy. Play the main artist happy. If you can play them happy, you got it in the bag.
I mean, yeah, that's just those are great tips, man. And the only reason why I've ever gotten a call back is that to a T. And I wasn't thinking of coming from a place of like, being disingenuous about it. Like, no, it's like, oh, how can we vibe on this? And like, what can I do to make sure that you're hearing your own music the way you want it to be heard? Like I always, one thing I do when I, one thing I do when I get into rehearsals with artists, like the first thing that's like I usually talk about before we run tunes is like, hey, like as the day kind of flows and the rehearsal flows, like just hit me up at any time. Like if like the vibe that you hear like isn't being heard, like I want to make sure that we cross that bridge and like figure out any disconnections on how I'm interpreting your music. Because of course, like we've said, we want to be expressive and hear our own playing on whatever it is we're doing, but we're not getting a call to do that necessarily. Like we're getting a call to first make that artist sound good in the way they want to be heard, and then if you're allowed and you're able to put your own voice into that conversation, then like, oh my God, this is going to be a bunch of fucking fun.
You're getting called first and foremost to slay the music, and that's it. Really, truthfully, you can try and fit yourself in there, and you do to make it sweet, because that's what you do to add to the music.
Yeah, for personal fulfillment.
Personal fulfillment gets a backseat every time.
Yeah, for sure.
Like 80% of what you practice, you don't play out.
No.
You don't play out. There's no room for all of those licks. I get to play them out because it's my show.
Yeah.
If you come and see Shook Black show, you're going to see a whole bunch of soloing. You're going to see me rip over a whole bunch of shit. But if you see me play with another artist, it's not the same as a Shook Black show. And it never will be, because my job, I understand my responsibility is to service the music first. And then if I service the music, I'm making the artist happy. Other than that, my ego, what I want to do, all the stuff that I even think is cool, backseat.
Yeah. Not to say like depending on the gig, there's more time and place for it, right? Like it just totally depends on the artist. That's a spectrum.
Right.
Some gigs, it's like, bro, you're in the pocket 100% of the time. Like, don't get out of that. Like, we don't need all that. That's why we didn't call you. Like, but there are certain gigs, like specifically in the more improvised music, more like R&B, like side of pocket gigs that like, yeah, of course, jazz, like
especially improvisation.
Any music where there's allowed for improvisation, it allows you to do both, and that's the coolest shit. But I love, and this about me, and I know you feel the same way, but like we love playing just pocket gigs. If that music is bumping, then like we'll sit on 2 and 4 all day.
All day, because it just feels good.
Yeah, it's like
what it's called for.
Yeah. We're not here making Instagram shed videos. Like we're here like to make this music sound like good, to make it feel good, and to make people do this.
All night. As long as they doing that all night, hey, I'm doing my job, buddy.
Yeah,
if I
man.
can put myself in there a little bit somewhere here and there to make myself feel good, well, I'm gonna try that. But for the most part, I'm trying to make them shake it all night because that's what we get paid to do. And truthfully, if you playing it behind an artist, that's what they want their audience to do. That's their fans. You're supposed to be servicing everybody. It's not about you. You are the last person that's supposed to be satisfied in a band setting. The last one.
Yeah, and I mean,
that sucks to know, but it really is the truth. You're the last one to get satisfied. You play your greatest, so everybody else feels good.
Mm-hmm.
And once that happens, then you get to feel good.
Yeah, and there is satisfaction in that too, right, bro? It's like that is a satisfying feeling.
It really is, truthfully. Especially to be able to serve the music and you know you're doing what you're supposed to do. It's also what you want to do, and it makes everybody feel good. That's a very gratifying feeling. Like, we get so much gratification. I can only speak for myself, but I know you feel this way too. We get so much gratification behind what we do. Like, it's so therapeutic for me because I get to make people happy. If they experience any type of like trial or tribulation throughout the week or the day, that is their 2-3 hours of release where I get to make them feel good. And they get to shake their butt all night, feel good, and forget about their problems. And I feel like we just need more of that in the world. You know what I mean? Like, so much hustle and bustle. We get so caught up in like the getting.
Yeah, people that
focus on like having.
Right, man, and people that really get what live music's about and what live music like they really embody that philosophy. Like people that go out to shows a lot are doing so because it's therapy for them. Like we do this, of course, to pay bills, but it's therapy for us. Like, and that's the approach that not only leads to more success. Like honestly, I think that's the more fruitful approach is being less selfish. Like sure there might be some short term like gain about like taking a selfish mentality, but the more you can do so like for the feeling of togetherness and like that approach and like, oh, everyone in here is like a part of this shit tonight, then that's some pretty cool shit that I think is a more sustainable mind frame.
Because it's really, bro, like, again, I take the same approach to drums as I take to life. It's about building relationships. You don't just like, if you care about people, if you care about something, you have genuine care, you take care of that thing. You nurture it, right? I care about music. I care about my passion. I care about my skill. I care about my giving my gift to the world.
Yeah.
And I care about sharing my gift to the world with other people who are sharing their gift with the world and making that the best we could possibly make that in the moments we are afforded to be able to do that. And again, I don't take that for granted. I think I don't know. I think we should just have more care for what it is we get to do, or for the time that we have, or for being able to, I don't know, express ourselves in the way that we are able to express ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's easy to get caught up in the busyness. For me, at least, like I find myself getting caught up in like the hecticness of like managing my time and rehearsals and practice and learning music and oh, I got 5 gigs this week on some busy weeks. It's like, but then again, like each time you go through it, you're like reminded of like, okay, like I'm doing this shit because I actually love it, and even though that was some crazy shit to have to get through this week, you still are able to remind yourself at the end of the day, like, okay, I know why I'm doing this. Like, that shit was hard to get through, and that was a tough week of balancing everything. But yeah, as long as you're able to like get back to the place of the why, then then that's then that's all you need to do, like to be able to maintain.
And you have to be able to maintain your relationships with people, like I was saying before. Like, you have to those relationships take maintenance. They take care. Just in your everyday life, just like on the bandstand, it takes maintenance. It takes care. So to be able to be successful in both, I feel like you need to know what it takes to be able to do that in both. And it's just all around health thing. I feel like if you relate it to, if you go by the same principles, which I tend to do, it's an overall mind, body, spirit health that crosses over into your musicianship. Because it's all one, it's all connected. You're a musician and a person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're a musician separately.
Yeah, personality comes through your playing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that's reflected in how you sound.
I was just saying that's crazy how people actually do play their personalities.
Mm-hmm.
I really just started noticing and getting close to people, you can tell he's kind of mild mannered and doesn't speak as fast. He slowly he limps into his solo. It's the same thing. You know what I mean?
Word.
Just in different places. Or this dude always has something to say. He has a huge vocabulary. He just never stops talking. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. Normally in a solo, those dudes just rip.
Mm-hmm.
No one. They all the way in the entire time. All the way in. You're like, okay, that was great, but you just smacked me in the face with notes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's cool to see that. It's really cool to see how close it is, how everything is related. It's just tied with each other.
Preaching, man. Fuck. Yeah, some real talk. No, man, this is what it's all for. That was some great wisdom, man, and some good tidbits about um your philosophy, and I guess our a lot of things we share in that approach, which is great. And I know we've talked a lot about these things and whatnot, but yeah, these things can't be I guess forgotten about, because I think too much of the drum conversations get really in the nitty gritty about technique and how to play a chop, and that's great. Those things need to happen at the intermediate level for sure, because you need to be able to keep building your voice up and have cool things to say in order to start, I guess, having your own sound in the first place. You always need to build a larger vocabulary to be able to say different things. But yeah, I just think that it's not talked about enough. All of the life approach, all of the behind the scenes shit, all of the how to have a sustainable career in music, all of the mentality and personal philosophy that goes into keeping this shit from wearing on you. It can be such a stressful wear on you life if you let it. And
tell me about
and just yeah, these are all heady and heavy reminders, man, of the why, the personal relationship side, the professionalism, the all of those things that we've talked about, and just needing to persevere through all of that shit, man. So that was some good stuff, dude.
Man, I'm glad you appreciate it, bro, and I'm glad to be able to share it, and hopefully people will tune in and watch this sometime and be able to hear it and listen to it and be able to take something away from it. Because I feel like the reason why it's not talked about as much is because the music industry is competition, and knowing all of these things is kind of a leg up. It gives you a kind of an insight of how to move,
Right.
maneuver a little
Right.
stronger.
Yeah.
And to establish yourself a little more. So I'm giving these things away because this is what I've been given.
Yeah,
and
I think
what I've had to learn over the 20 years, or really over now. I've been playing since I was 4. I'm 34. I've been playing drums 30 years. Over 30 years of drumming, the stuff that I've learned in the ins and outs and relationships with people and artists and musicians, and you know what I mean, and really dialing it in. And I want to give that information away to people who are trying to do the same thing and pursuing the same path as an independent artist or musician, whatever instrument you play. Just some inside tools and keys so you don't have to bump your head like I did. You know what I mean? And you know, Kurt, like every time we talk, I try to give you something that I know or have learned or whatever it is that I have that pushes you to get to your highest height, because I'd rather give it to you so you don't have to learn it yourself.
Yeah, you man, know, and like that's a truly powerful thing, man. And I think the stronger, I don't know, I've always wanted to embody that philosophy, because again, just sort of like having a selfish energy can be helpful in short-term scenarios, but again, the more you're about allowing others to eat, like trying to uplift them in their approach and like be positive in like their own grind, I think that not only strengthens the community around what we're doing and makes like a higher quality of music in general, so it helps us in the long term, but it's also like I truly believe there's enough to go around. And while sometimes you're like, I wish I had that gig, you know, that's just natural. That's natural to like want like yourself to like be in those people's shoes. But at the end of the day, like there are opportunities, and the more you continue on your own path, like those things will come, and you'll be able to like pick from different trees that you didn't even see like a minute ago. So yeah, I totally appreciate that approach. I totally appreciate that approach, and I know there's more in the positive net gain, not only for the community but for yourself, to like release that energy of like, I don't want to give up my like licks. I don't want to give up like this knowledge. I don't want to give up like that shit, because there's way more power in releasing that and just allowing other people, you know, to have a positive effect on others, because it truly feels better. It's going to make you better by like sharing that knowledge. I think all of this shit's powerful for sure. And not only,
I mean, because like, especially with the licks thing, dude, nobody's going to play the lick the same way, bro. Everybody's going to interpret. I can show you a lick right now today, and you're going to go play it different, because the stuff that you are already playing, that lick, you'll be able to mix it into what you're already playing.
Yeah.
Then you've already morphed that lick. It's already, no two drummers are gonna play exactly the same.
Nah.
We all playing the same, bro. We all playing left, right, left.
Right. I mean, there's only so many rudiments, man. We're covering all the same shit. We just have different shit to say.
We all playing singles and doubles and triplets and drags. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm saying like, we're influenced.
Why am I gonna hold on to what I know?
Yeah,
what is the point of that?
Real talk. And we're influenced. Something I like to just remind people, we're influenced by a lot of the same cats, and like the fact that you and I don't sound the same, like we pretty much listen to all the same dudes. Like, you know, like there are some variants, but like you and I are inspired by like a long library of the same individuals, and so like we've embodied their approach and repurposed their language in a way that makes sense to us. And that's what's cool about individuality and whatnot. But also, like, to your point, like since coming up in this scene, like I've told you this, but like I don't know how many licks I've copped from you, and they don't sound the same when I play them. It's like, you know what I'm saying?
Take whatever it is you can take, steal whatever it is.
It's just subconscious, you know.
Never gonna sound like me. I'm never gonna sound like you.
Word.
And that is the beauty of drum. Bro, think about it like this: there are a million drummers, man. None of us sound exactly the same.
Yeah.
We all play in the same notes. We all play in the same tunes. Everybody sounds different. That's how your personality comes through. So for me, bro, I don't mind sharing whatever. Ask any, well, not any drummer, because there's certain drummers I don't like. They know I don't like them. But other than them, bro, ask any drummers, bro. Like you, bro, we'll sit down any time, bro. What do you want to know?
Right, and I know this because we've shedded. Like, it's all love, man.
It's all love, because again, bro, I want to see you push. And to me, in my mind, I'm glad you said what you said, because it's really important that people hear me say this, because I don't think people understand my disposition. I push people because I want to see the level of musicianship be as high as it can possibly be. Like going to school in LA and spending time in LA and going to see like being around like actual drummers and musicians that people admire and seeing their workload and seeing how they work and seeing the productivity. Just like, whoa, even I have to step my game up because I'm not close.
Yeah, I mean,
so I want to push all the people around me. Hey, take this. If this you feel like this will push you, take it, use it, let it push you to your highest heights. Because ultimately, all I'm doing, I feel like, is pushing the level of musicianship in the town higher and higher and higher to where everybody is playing on 10 all the time. That's what I want to see. I want to be able to stop into any venue that houses music and it be the local homies and go, damn, from outside.
yeah, shit's
You know
popping.
what I mean? Like, shit, I need to go in there right now because they're going off. That's how the Dookie Jam was.
Amen,
Remember,
bro.
you could stand outside.
That's where I first heard all y'all play.
Yeah, you could stand outside and, bro, I have to go in there. What are they? They're doing all of the things in there that I like. You know what I mean? Like, so that's all I'm trying to push into town. That's all I want in town. I will help elevate anybody and give anybody information that the information that I have and what I've been given and what I've learned to elevate your ability to help you go to your highest height. But if you're in a town, to help push the music in the town to its highest height.
Yup.
Because other than that, what are we doing?
Yeah, man, and our scene, like, I'm constantly reminded by how dope our friends are, man. Like,
we got players, bro.
We
It's
play
players out
we play
here.
with a ton of the same people, obviously. Like, it's a smaller pool than big ass cities, but man, what we got is heavy. Like, and that's
Player.
yeah, we got really mean dudes out here. So it's and and that's the cool part about seeing our scene elevate. Is I've seen it grow big time in the last 5 years, especially since coming up through it. There's always been dope musicianship, but as like, people are getting older and having more maturity and more of a vision on what they want to be pursuing on their own like projects, like this shit is becoming really fun to see all the homies like working and just elevating all their own games. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. We got some great music out of Portland.
Some really great music out of Portland. I mean, even like people just stepping up to be artists that kind of were like in the background. Like, great examples like Swatkins. Like, he was just hitting with everybody for the longest time, and then hitting with Alan Stone for the longest time. Like, one of Portland's best kept secrets, in my opinion.
I mean, I told Swati this all the time. He's my absolute favorite musician in the whole city and one of them in the whole world. He knows that.
Bro, I mean, just cold-blooded. Ever since I met, bro, when I met Swatkins, I think this is so y'all. This was like 10 years ago, maybe 10 or 12 years ago. Like,
early Dookie shit?
Bro, yes. He wasn't even, I don't think he was playing keys yet. I think he was still playing bass. And then, or he was lightly playing keys. And it was either one of the two. And I found, actually, you know what? He was playing keys light, I think. And then he started playing bass. I was like, what? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, a monster, though. Like, killing on bass. Where you come? And then just in the time of knowing him and seeing him like just blossom as a musician, and then seeing him blossom now as an artist, it's just been cool to see the whole progression thing. You know what I mean?
It's truly dope.
That's a number of people's position now here in the city of like artists that I've got a chance to see like their career just blossom. Mm-hmm. So you're right, man. We got a lot of hitters in the town. We have a lot of artists, especially for such a small area. I feel like we have a lot of talent for the Northwest, which isn't that big of an area.
Yeah, well, we lack in quantity. We have a lot of quality, man. It's
definitely
just
quality for sure.
we got quality here, and yeah, like a pocket, a scene that has a sound to it too, which is dope, and that's like thanks to like the Goodfoot and the like the jazz clubs around town that like have created a vibe, and I guess while it's not always easy to get in those rooms and have a say so in what's being heard and played. Like there is some like cool shit happening all around town, and that's kind of created these pockets.
You know, I totally feel you. Like at least there's still music happening in the town.
Mm-hmm.
You know, good quality music happening in the town. So we're we're really fortunate because like we could live in a place where the music scene is just not happening.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of places like that. Like my boy Larry lives in Stockton.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on in Stockton, but I can't imagine a lot.
He's not gigging in Stockton. I mean, if he is, he ain't gigging that much.
Yeah.
He's a tour guy.
Yep.
And he's a tour guy, especially because nothing's happening in Stockton. You get what I'm saying? Like,
for sure.
For Portland to be like a big town, really, just now, within like the last, 4 years, became over 1 million people, 1.5 million, something like that. We have a very like vibrant, alive music scene. Such that some of the venues are closing. We're losing venues seems like left and right. But for the most part, one closes, one opens. Mm-hmm. So we have a very vibrant, alive music scene that we're very lucky to have. Like to be able to live off of drums, dude. For us to live off of drums,
yeah,
in Portland, Oregon, that's a blessing, man. Again, that's why I don't take anything for granted because
no doubt
we're anomalies. Really, truthfully, we're kind of anomalies.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's pretty special, and it's a good reminder, especially as we're in the face of this fucked situation.
Oh my God, dude.
Not knowing like when we're getting back to it and when things are going to be allowed to get back to it, and so I guess like I'm not thinking of it in that way because it's a dark tunnel when you put it into that light. But taking it day to day and just knowing like when shit gets back, like man, the hunger and the energy in these rooms is gonna be fucking off the charts.
Oh, dude, that's what I'm excited for because people are shedding.
We're hibernating, man.
The level of killingness is about to be majorly high.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm super stoked for it. I'm so excited for it. I'm so excited to see how people have been practicing and to see like the music that comes out of this time and just like people's hunger because now they get to be locked inside with themselves and they probably are trying to escape from themselves. So more than likely they'll probably try to create something that ends up great. Or you know what, for artists who are already like moving and shaking and people who are making music, this is the time to like be able to hyper focus. Right. And really just be able to worry about solely what can I create now instead of all the business and all the other side. Now I can there's no business happening. No business is happening anywhere really. No booking is happening anywhere. So now you don't have to worry about, this set needs to be together. But now it's just, okay, let me create some music that I like. Let me make some banging shit to be able to produce to the world after this time is over. And this is the last thing I'll say before we get off of this thing. That's very key as a musician, especially has to do a lot with this time. Budget. Mm-hmm. Learn how to save your money. I'll make this long story short. Not long this time because I can be long. When I was younger, I was like 22, 23. I came into the music scene and I was hot. I started going to the Dookie jams because I wanted people to see me, and it worked. I got hired for Actually, Anthony Jones put me on my first gig. Charles Tellis, big cousin, put me on my first gig. Gretchen Mitchell. I started playing with Gretchen Mitchell. Started showing up at the Dookie Jams. People knew I was in town. Fresh face, killing dude. You know what I mean? So I started working with everybody. Then I started getting an absorbent amount of gigs, dude. For the first time I would start playing with 5 bands who were gigging regularly. So I had to know all the music. We were making great money. I was making money every day. Bro, when you're 22, 23, making $200-$300 every day.
Yeah,
you don't do so well with spending or save. You do very well with spending. You don't do well at all with saving.
Right.
So I do well with saving. What I did was, I'm gonna make this money back tomorrow. It's cool. It's fine. But what I realized was I was robbing myself. And a key part of finance is one of the key points of finance is pay yourself first. Always make sure to pay yourself. If you need some help with that, I won't go into the details of that. If you need some help, come find me. I'll help you with budgeting because I learned it the hard way. But musicians, pay yourself because in the long run, you won't be hurting. Like right now, I'm not knocking anybody's live streaming or whatever they're doing to make money because this is unfounded. Nobody could see this coming. Nobody. Yeah. You still have to make money if you're living gig to gig. You're a musician, just like people working paycheck to paycheck. You got to find a way to bring in income. I get it. But because I budgeted, because I saved, I don't have to do anything. I literally have the finances right now to last me until July, August maybe, without having to play a single gig or having to do a single live stream. Because I've saved enough to make a cushion for myself.
Yeah,
and
man.
Now I'm hurting where other people are, where they have to do something. I get to chill and be creative and not stress. My point is this: learn to put money away and to pay yourself, because in unfounded times like these, when you wish you had that bread, when you wish you had a couple $1,000s to sit on or play with, you'd have it, but you don't have it because, again, you're living gig to gig. And I get it, people got to pay bills. But still, if you're going to pay somebody else, you might as well pay yourself. They can wait.
Mm-hmm.
Truthfully, if it's not your mortgage, if it's not your light bill, if it's not something that's dire to you, they can wait. Pay yourself. Trust me, if you do this and you pay yourself out of every gig, you'll thank yourself later in the long run. Again, I'm fine. Mm-hmm. I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. And I know that for a fact. I've set my life up to where I'm going to be fine. You should be able to say the exact same thing. And all I do is drum. I don't have any side gigs. All I do is drum. And I'm fine.
Yeah, man.
So,
is getting to that point where your income becomes, there's some shit on the top, there's some cheese left over, right? And then being responsible with that money, because Lord knows, with bills and all that shit, like sometimes the pot is empty at the end of the month and you didn't really have much of a say on your expendable income because there isn't much. But on good months, you're actually, 100% on point, man. And hopefully those months all come for all of us when this time's ready so that we can all eat. But yeah, like when there is money left over, man, you make a good point. And sometimes for me, there's still not money left over on certain months, but when there is, yeah, you try to maintain, man, try to keep that shit aside and use it to invest back into yourself.
And what I would suggest is this, and this is one thing that I'll give you so you don't have to come find me if you can figure it out yourself. Look at the cycles. Okay, so spring, you start doing pretty decently well money-wise, right? Then summer, your money explodes. You have to live in summer like you did before spring.
Yep.
when you didn't have money, because you want to be at least be able to take care of yourself. You have to be able to take care of yourself all year long and stand on your own 2 feet. You can't rely on anybody else to do that for you. That's your own responsibility as a grown ass human being on the planet, right? So because that is, just because you are experiencing this fluctuation of cash at a moment doesn't mean you will always experience that. And because you know that, put that fluctuation away.
Yeah.
Rainy day cash.
Rainy day cash is helpful, man.
You want to buy? Nope. That extra pair of shoes you want to buy? Nope. That extra meal that you don't need? Nope. Learn how to discipline yourself, to budget yourself, and create a budget for yourself every day, a budget you can stay well within, so the excess you always see. And when there isn't any excess, you're not hurting because you already put enough away for a rainy day.
Yeah, man, that's great advice.
You know what I mean? So it's not. It sounds harder than what it actually is. It's not easy, but it's worth doing. You know, because in the long run, you'll be able to self-sustain yourself and still be able to eat how you always eaten. Take care of your bills, but you have to save. You have to put money away. I sound like my dad or somebody's dad right now. But
hey, it's real talk though. Yeah. And this is obviously no one could have seen this coming. So everyone has been affected in a different way financially, and some are able to still work or teach or whatever through this time, and some just don't have a penny in the bucket. So it's obviously a fluid situation for everyone, and even even in our industry, people are being affected a lot differently, which is weird to see. But yeah, that's some good shit, man. Because just being good with your money in general is something that I think is overlooked as a musician as well. So I appreciate you touching on that.
Just in life, period. Like everybody has financial issues. It's like, but being a musician is a little bit different because you deal with like day-to-day money. So you have to know how to deal with day-to-day money and set up a system for yourself that's fail-safe, so you can just keep going with that system, expounding upon that system. And again, that's hard, man, because a lot of us aren't taught finance. Like, who's teaching us this as people in life first? And then to know how to do as a musician, which a lot of people don't know how to do, because a lot of people don't even have our craft or have our like a career, our occupation, to be able to know what to do with money you get daily. You know what I mean? They deal with, I get one solitary check, I know what to do with this paycheck. How do you know what to do if you get $100 one day, $150 the next, $500 the next, 50? You know what I mean? You've got to know how to put that money away and still be able to eat every day and sustain yourself every day. So finances is half of the game when it comes to like staying in this thing as a musician, because you got to be able to feed yourself and you got to be able to pay your bills.
Yep. All truth, bro. All truth.
All right, man. I'm done talking your ear off.
Oh man, yeah, well, that's what's up, man. Well, this has been super fun. So thanks for hanging in and yeah, just catching up, man. It's good to talk to you, see how things are going for you during this weird ass time. But
Yeah, you too.
yeah, man, you stay up, and I can't wait till this shit gets behind us, so we can just all hang and fucking shed and see each other play out, man. That's gonna be all the fun.
Yeah, man, we might have to shed like 6 feet apart or something.
Yeah, real talk. Prior, there might be some interim times. Mask on, shed. All right, man. Well, it's been real. Thanks again, Shook. I'll talk to you soon, homie.
Yeah, thanks for having me, bro. Have a good one, bro.
Absolutely. Take care.